What's going on? It's Stavros. Welcome back to Behind the Visor. Today we're unpacking some of the biggest conversations in Canadian football right now, from the legal tampering window to free agency to what's moving the CFL landscape. But before we get into that, make sure y'all hit the subscribe button, give a comment on just the amazing stuff that's going on in the CFL right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening to this on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we're just glad that you're here today, you're listening. But let's get into it. Let's get into the legal tampering window that started just very recently, February 1st. I mean, breaking it down, how the window works, because, I mean, that's a big and major strategic element in kind of the offseason. I think, some of the key points here is it gives players and teams kind of the space to talk before deals are official. And teams can't make any contracts official until February 10th, but you can agree to terms. So, I mean, to sum that up in short, you have a deal in place. It's a verbal handshake, pseudo-binding contract for the most part, but you cannot officially sign that until February 10th. So all teams, unless you were to get released by your team, all teams have to wait to sign those contracts, or players have to wait to sign those contracts until February 10th. But for any player that is still under contract and has, let's say, agreed to contract with another team, the team that they're currently with still has an exclusive 48-hour window where they get to negotiate with that player. Let's say if they still want to keep him, want to give him a competitive offer. Some teams sometimes run the whole, hey, go test the market, go see what you're worth in free agency, come back to us, and maybe we'll match the offer, or maybe we won't. We'll see you, shake hands and wave bye as you go out the door. But that's kind of, I guess, the free agency tampering window kind of summed up in, I guess, the shortest amount of time possible. But I think, how does this really impact the offers at the end of the day, right? I mean, again, you have so many different, I guess, storylines going on where you get an offer. Could be something the team wants to do, something you want to do. If you wait too long, that offer could be gone. Some of these teams are moving super quickly. I mean, 1 second you're the A player on your list. The next second he commits to somewhere else, so now you have money you got to shift around to the next guy that you want to get that's off your free agency board. So I think that's kind of the crazy thing about this whole tampering window. And I think the biggest thing is those first 48 hours, February 1st and 2nd, we saw so many names kind of fly off the board. The teams who swung big on day one, and, the money that was being spent there, right? So I think that's where kind of these offers can get impacted, especially in those first couple of days, because obviously teams don't have an infinite amount of money to spend. We obviously saw the $6.28 million salary cap increase, but again, it's not infinite. There's not an unlimited amount of money that teams get to spend, and these offers can come and go very, very quick. So I think in saying that, I think this tampering window is definitely beneficial for players to be able to, test the market, be able to see what their value is if they are, trying to climb into that next salary range, what have you. But I think it could be shorter. I don't think tampering needs to be a full 7 days or 5 or 6 days, however long the actual, I think it's 7. If you go February 1st to the 8th, when that exclusive window comes. But most of those deals are done in kind of, let's just be honest, most of those deals are done before tampering even starts. It's just you can't really accept it until, tampering. All these agents are tampering at the end of the day. That's how it works. Before it was just free agency, right? And they put this tampering window in because, teams are tampering with other agents. And now there's tampering before the tampering window, right? It's tamperingception. I don't know how many times I'm going to say tampering in this podcast, but the count has to be over 10 already. And I'll add another tampering in. We may as well, right? So, like I said, I think it could be shorter. I think free agency definitely could be moved up as a whole. Wait until February. Do we really need to? I think it could be maybe January, but then you run into, you got the league meetings, you got the holidays and New Year's in December. But, I think maybe even just doing it the first couple weeks after, the season ends, being able to just have that decision going into the new year. I think as a player, knowing like where you're going to be and not having kind of that limbo state of, am I going to be on this team? Am I re-signing? Am I going to this franchise? But then you throw in, right, if a coaching staff changes and that the coaching staff isn't finalized, that changes. from a player perspective if you're going to want to go to that team, because they might not have the coach you want, or they may have fired the coach that you wanted to go play for, right? So I think there's definitely some I think better ways that it can be done from a scheduling standpoint, and maybe just shortening that window so it's not dragged out so long could definitely clean up kind of I guess now again we're just in that limbo period where we got to wait until I think February 10th for people to actually be able to sign, unless a team releases them, but you don't see that too often because some teams, like I said, they try to swing big one more time on that exclusive negotiation window. So we're going to move right along. We may as well dive into the free agency recap and what, I guess some of the teams that have already agreed to terms with some of the players around the league. I mean, across the league, the rosters have been shapen. Free agency obviously isn't officially open yet, but we may as well take a look at the reported agreements for each team and just see, who's got who so far, where everyone's lined up. But we'll start in my backyard first in Hamilton. We obviously signed Trey Ford officially a couple days ago, bringing him in from Edmonton after getting released from there. We also, as of the recording of this podcast, we signed Wint McManus, ALL-CFL linebacker, 3-time Grey Cup champ. I'm one of my most exciting free agency splashes that I think the Ticats have done in this offseason, and couldn't be more excited to play with just a guy like that who shows up to work every single day, puts in a crazy amount of work, is a hitter, a tackling machine, a playmaker. The dude makes plays every single time he steps on the field. So to be able to play alongside an impact player like that, I'm really excited to be, I can't wait to get in the building with him and get to work with him and just, see what we can come up with in 2026. But obviously with great re-signings comes great departures too, unfortunately. And that's just the name of the game. Obviously we lost some key pieces on the defense with Jonathan Moxey and Deshaun Amos so far. Two of my very obviously close friends, dudes that I've played with these past couple years. Learned a great deal from both of them, great leaders. Obviously wishing them the best in their futures. But I think, and we'll get to the rest of them. We got a few more when we'll catch up. But I guess from a fan perspective, is it time to sound alarm? Do you guys think we should sound the alarm as the Ticats? Are we losing too many people? Are we not bringing enough people in? I mean, personally, I'm loving what I'm seeing so far. I think we got a great team that we're building for 2026, and I can't wait to get to training camp and see what we got. Obviously, there's always the on paper, everyone on paper looks great in free agency, but once you get to training camp, you start working with everybody, iron out the different things that are going on, knock off the rust from the offseason and hit the ground running. It's a whole different story, right? So I don't think, Ticat fans, let's relax. I know the first couple days there was no big announcements from our end, but we're taking care of business. We got some great signings, building some depth on the roster as well. So I couldn't be more excited for what we got building. But we'll go back and we'll stop in BC. Obviously, we'll do our normal west out to east, even though I kind of cheated there and brought Hamilton in first. But I mean, there's not even a whole lot going on in BC. Kind of as of the recording of this podcast, BC didn't agree to terms with anyone. I don't know why this may be. They may just be super confident in the roster that they have, or they just may have not seen the player that was available that they wanted. But I mean, I guess to that end, they also signed Darnell Sankey, who's a standout linebacker, Grey Cup champ. Again, another playmaker, middle linebacker. So maybe that was kind of someone who they were looking to target in that window period, and they ended up getting him anyways. So that could probably maybe explain the reasoning on, I guess, why we haven't heard any big agreements on there, and which none of the teams really post the agreements anyways. It's more, I guess, these, other CFL media, companies out there that are releasing this information, I guess, are, talking with agents and stuff like that. But again, it's not official. So again, if your team is losing a player, don't necessarily worry about it too much. Obviously, yes, they agreed to terms. It's more than likely that they're going to go to that team, but it's not over until that clock strikes noon on February 10th and free agency officially opens. So don't get too stressed about that. But we'll move into Edmonton. The Edmonton Elks. You may as well, you know what I mean there. I mean, we got 5 former Ticats that have agreed to terms, 6 if you count all-CFL D-end Malik Carney. And they're just making a big splash from, the whole front office there in Edmonton. How do they do it every year? Everyone's asking the same question. How are they doing this? Where are they getting this extra money from? But hey, they must be doing a great job at managing that cap and figuring out where to spend the money, who deserves it, who gets it, and all that. But yeah, they're I would say one of the big day one splashes from the start of the tampering window. Going through, obviously, to Calgary, staying in the province of Alberta. No real big, I would say, departures there. They got a lot of key guys already locked up. They obviously lost some guys to the NFL with the NFL window, back in January. But they did add some national depth, and they needed a national Canadian and brought in Jean Brissett, who is a standout up the QEW, Canadian receiver, who, again, another playmaker that makes plays when he's on the field, and they're bringing in a guy that can move the needle for them. They obviously just lost Alfred over there, who is their Canadian receiver, one of the nationals over there. Obviously, they got one of the Philpott twins over there as well, so they got some good Canadian players and starting caliber Canadian players over there. So I think he'll fit in great to that system over there. Then moving in to Sask, obviously the biggest names probably from them, obviously AJ Allen and Malik Carney both departing. Those are two big pieces on their defense. Obviously, you can't pay everybody in, obviously new salary cap. You just won the Grey Cup. So a lot of it is, we're just reloading. We're trying to build for the next season, but we're going to have to fill gaps where, those, players that do decide to leave, obviously everyone I think forgets that on the player end too, right? Like, we have families too, right? There's finances that are involved in it, right? It's not always about, oh, I'm leaving because I don't like the team, or I'm leaving because, I don't get along with this person or that person, or I want to go have a change of scenery. Sometimes, the finances do play a big aspect into it. So again, you can't pay everyone. They had 8 departures, including the recent release of veteran kicker Brett Lawther, who obviously, had a bit of a toughened season up and down from the kicking standpoint, but still, when it mattered in the Grey Cup, he was doing what he needed to do and down that playoff run, and they ended up lifting the Grey Cup. Obviously, he's a local guy in that area, has been great for the community there. So again, wishing him the best in his future, whether that's in football, business, whatever it's in. I know he's going to kill it in whatever it is. But Winnipeg, kind of loading up as well, taking a few of our guys. Obviously, Tim White, being the most notable signing that they've probably had pre-tampering window, bringing in Broxton on the O-line, Serezna at D-tackle, who's a monster on the defensive line, guy that gets sacks, gets pressures, and then bringing in one of our DBs, Jonathan Moxie, again, who's a veteran corner, savvy player, dude. Again, I can't say enough great things about Mox, and the way he prepares the film study. Again, just a dude that is going to go in there, show up for work, be a playmaker, and again, just be a student of the game. So this is my question. Obviously, and this is, I think fans have kind of the same question, but is this their last shot before the Grey Cup window? Like, is their Grey Cup window closed? Obviously, they had the great dynasty from, dating back from 2019 of going to a Grey Cup every year. Last year was the first year that they missed the Grey Cup since, going on that run. But is the window closed? Let me know. Let me know what you guys think. Or did it already close? Or do they still have a chance? Well, I mean, I guess we'll just have to see. Only time will tell kind of in this 2026 season. Going up the QEW to the blue team. They're shaking up after a tough year, obviously, with some new front office personnel in there. Are they going to rebound through free agency? Obviously, they've been going with some familiarity, bringing in some names that have been in-house before. Deshaun Amos, Darius Pickett, Robert Priester, Dwayne Hendricks, a lot of familiar guys that have won Grey Cups, have that understanding of, the culture that was there when those guys played. So we'll see how that works out for them. I don't think it's going to work out very well for them when they come down the QEW and have to show up in Hamilton Stadium and take on these guys right here. All right, we're coming. We're going to do our thing this year, like we always do, and we're going out to Ottawa. Some major moves. Some would say probably the biggest hitter in the legal tampering window, and maybe that new front office is making an impact, feeling like they needed to make a splash. I mean, they got, like I said, they swung big for AJ Allen, which was a big need, obviously filling a starting Canadian roster spot over there. bringing in Greg Bell, one of our running backs, as well. So it'll be interesting. I think again, it's going to be another competitive year. Always, you don't win. I don't think you necessarily win the Grey Cup in free agency or tampering, but again, it just creates that storyline. You have so much turnover each year, a lot of guys playing for different teams, and it just makes for those competitive storylines each week in the CFL. When each team's playing. So that'll be an exciting thing to kind of keep an eye on this year with guys playing their former teams. As always, it's as much as people don't want to say that, I'm not a little bit more turned up for this game, I can tell you there's a lot of guys that I've played with that when they play their former team, they're trying to have that all CFL game when they're playing. So going into Montreal, again, not a lot of, noise coming out of there. I think the importance there for them probably was just continuity. No big major free agent signings. They had a couple, Jonathan Sunderland coming up from the NFL kind of to fill a recently retired Marc-Antoine Dequoy, who we'll talk a little bit here about in our next segment. But, yeah, I mean, again, they're these teams that go all the way to the Grey Cup or, make those deep playoff runs, sometimes it's, hey, we like what we have. We like where we're at, and let's just reload, tweak a few things, and see where we can go this upcoming season. So I've just been again. It's February. It's that part of the year where everything just kind of feels like slow. There's not a whole lot going on, and then February 1st hits, and then the CFL noise is everywhere. Right? You start talking about free agency, and then before you know it, the combine's here, the draft's here, and then boom. It's June 1st, and we're getting ready to play CFL football. So, again, I think, whether or not it's early activity, it's like if this early activity is a power play or, just kind of the cautious strategy, I don't necessarily think Grey Cups are won in free agency. Like, I think, again, it all comes down, I'm not going to say it all comes down to, like, I have a crystal ball and I know exactly what's going on, because I don't. But I think, in my opinion, I think where this all kind of falls, a lot of it is the roster makeup, the key pieces that you have in there, the leadership, that bond that is built, in that brotherhood in the locker room. I think that's where it starts. It's the big key. And then obviously coaching is another big factor, and how the coaches are prepping the players each week. And again, the recovery part too, right? If you're not available, if you're not able to play, then, you're not really making an impact out there. So I think that's probably the biggest thing there. But some of the perfect fit signings that have I would say caught my attention. I mean, we've seen a couple here. I mean, just starting obviously. I mean, west to east. We'll start in BC. My favorite out there already is Darnell Sankey. I think that is a big piece. Obviously a key player that has been a staple in Montreal for the last couple of years, and it'll be obviously different for a lot of fans to see him in those colors, but excited to see kind of what he does over there for them. And then going into Edmonton, I think my favorite signing here, which was my surprise signing, was Malik Carney. I thought for sure he was going to be back in Saskatchewan. He was a guy I came into the league with in Hamilton. We shared the extra locker room for the training camp guys that we're on the cusp of making the roster. We both made the roster, both played special teams, earned our way, and ended up becoming starters. So I was very surprised to see him go there, and obviously happy for him for getting paid and being the playmaker that he is. So that was a cool one to see there. In Calgary, again, obviously there's no major ones. Obviously Deshaun Brissett is going to be kind of that guy for them. So I think that's kind of the impact one there. And then going into Riderville, I mean, again, they didn't make a whole lot of sign. I think the biggest one here is the re-signing with AJ Ouellette. I think you had to get him back under contract. Big, giant running back, a dude that is going to give his all for you. Try to run somebody over every single play. You need that type of back up in the CFL, someone that can be, an every down back, run through somebody's face, get up and keep doing it over and over again. So in Winnipeg, I like the Jake Ceresna signing. I think, again, the trenches is where a lot of the games are won. He's been a proven guy that has been able to get after the quarterback when he's been able to be on the field. So again, that's my perfect fit over there. I think he's going to do well in that defense. And then bringing it into Hamilton. I mean, we already obviously mentioned it. Wynn McManus is going to be my perfect fit at middle linebacker here in Hamilton. It's going to be great again to see him play in the black and gold Obviously, we know Hamilton is built on defense, so he's going to be perfect. He's going to fit in great here, and he's going to make a ton of plays. Up to QEW. I don't know if I have a favorite, but I honestly, in all this, I got to say my favorite is my guy, Dakota Shepley, coming back to the CFL, making the return after a very long NFL career down south. I think that's a great fit. I think he is going to do – I think he's just going to show everybody what he's been able to do down in the NFL and bring that right up here. And, again, just prove why he's a great offensive lineman and who knows, could be up for one of the most outstanding offensive lineman awards maybe this time at the end of the year. I got to cheer for my guy Rev, though, because my guy Rev, he should. I mean, Rev should have won at least a couple of these already, but we know sometimes, we know. We don't have to really talk about it, but we know. But, again, Rev – outstanding offensive lineman, one of the best in the CFL, if not the best. But heading into Ottawa, A.J. Allen's got to be, I think, again, a perfect fit over there. A guy they swung big for, got him locked in there. Boom. Last but not least, Montreal. And again, they didn't really. I think the biggest one for them after losing Letcher to, I think he signed in Saskatchewan. I think Devontae Dedmon is probably their biggest one there with, solidifying their return game with a veteran returner who, again, has been able to make plays in the CFL when he's been able to be on the field. So, again, I think those are kind of the perfect fits, but let's kind of go into the reality of football. Let's, take a moment on a big CFL safety story. Obviously, some of you have heard Marc-Antoine Dequoy has announced his retirement. Dequoy is one of the top safeties in the league, along with myself, over the past few seasons. We've had a lot of great battles in competing. You got to love being able to compete with a guy of that caliber, and we both came in the league the same year, and I think we both have pushed each other to really be the best that we can be. And I think, in a lot of ways, the parallels of the conversations around, guys like him and me and, other great Canadian safeties around the league that have played. But again, I think just before we really get into talking about him and all that, got to give my hats off to him and, the career that he's had, the impact that he's had in the province of Quebec for the Alouettes. And again, a staple there for years to come, Grey Cup champ, two-time All-CFL safety. We got to give the tip of the cap there, and the respect where it's due. Cause you don't just get that by, lollygagging out on the football field. But I think, let's settle the debate though. Grey Cups aside, I've been to a Grey Cup, obviously lost. We're trying to get to another one. We're trying to win. That's the ultimate goal. Grey Cups aside, who are you picking? Are you going with me or are you going with Marc-Antoine Dequoy? I got to know. Obviously, we have different skill sets, right? I mean, I think even in that Canadian safety debate, I think when people compare two safeties, what do the skills really mean at the end of the day? I mean, again, you're talking, we're not going to go into the height, but we know the height is the height, okay? We know he's more of a taller, lengthy guy. I'm a little closer to the ground, if we want to put it that way, vertically inclined. I think we can say that. But where his game, I think, more lies in the reliance on his speed and his athleticism. Obviously, he has great range as a safety. He does really well, I think, in coverage situations because he has that makeup speed if he does get beat. I think, obviously, he's a ball hawk. I think he has like 11 or 12 interceptions, along with your boy, who also has, I got 13, but we're counting playoffs, 12 regular season. But I think in my game where I kind of feel like, again, the difference, I'm more of a, I don't know. I don't even know how to put it. You guys know what I am. I'm more of like, I feel like I'm more of the hitting style safety. I like to come up and hit. I know he does too, but I think that's just more one of the strengths that I have on him in my game. Whereas like he might have I think he has the strength in the coverage game where it's, man-to-man coverage because he has that, 4.3 speed. I don't got 4.3 speed, but I play like I got 4.3 speed, which is all about angles at the end of the day in professional football. But I think, for me, does the retirement of, someone like that, someone who I've been competing with, kind of make me reflect on my own journey. I think definitely it does. Like, I definitely think, when you see a guy like that who I mean, in my opinion, I thought he would be playing for another couple years. Obviously, I know, in kind of his retirement speech, it was his body just couldn't hold up anymore, and that's one of the unfortunate things about pro football is, you just never know when it's your time, right? We play a very, very, very violent game. I've said it multiple times on multiple podcasts across Canadian football that football is 100% injury rate sport. Like, you are going to get hurt, guaranteed. Bar none, no matter what. Like, once you step foot on that field, like, there's a 100% chance you're going to get hurt. Whether it's, something as small as, getting a cut on your arm or getting a bruise, all the way up to, your major surgical injuries, which obviously you don't wish on any player or anything like that. But we know that's what we sign up for. It's part of the game at the end of the day. So I think when you see something like that, it definitely, again, the respect level is always there. And it makes you think about that. But I think from my own standpoint and just reflecting on my career, you don't realize, like, oh man, it's already been 5 years since we've both been in the league. Obviously, he's going to be moving on to doing, great things in the future. But I think now for me, it's just like, okay, well, just, again, you take things one day at a time. You can't get too high. You can't get too low. You gotta really stay in that middle ground of kind of the ebbs and flows of this game, because you never know when it can be taken away from you. Like I said, I've been hurt before where you show up on game day, you think you're going to play the whole game, and then for whatever reason, it's that one play and you get hit and it's like, oh, I can't play. And then it feels like the whole world's crashing down on you because you can't do the thing that you love. And then you try to rebound from that. You're stacking those days to get back to be healthy. But I think in kind of wrapping all that up with, his kind of deal, again, it's just being grateful for the journey, being grateful for where I'm at. I think I'm definitely very blessed to be in this position that I'm in. Yeah, I've signed a 3-year extension, but at the end of the day, like, I'm focused on today, which is, I believe when we're recording this podcast, February 4th. When it's posted, it'll be February 5th. And I'll be focusing on that day and just trying to be the best possible version of myself, try to push myself to new levels, new heights, and try to push this game of Canadian football to new levels and new heights as well. And I think that's the most important thing at the end of the day. But now let's finish off with the quick hits. Lovely quick hits. We obviously have legal tampering window, which is open. Does it help or hinder players? Does it vary from starter to depth guys? What are your kind of thoughts on that? Let me know in the comments. Obviously, another quick hit. Hamilton has signed QB Trey Ford, like we talked about. And obviously, he's a different quarterback from Bo. But I think my quick hit on that, I think it's going to be great for him to be here, learn from a Hall of Fame quarterback, well, future Hall of Fame, obviously not in the Hall of Fame yet, but a future Hall of Fame quarterback in Bo. We got a great quarterback room with Jake Dolegala, Frosty, and then obviously he's going to be able to learn from one of the best offensive minds in the game in Scott Milanovich, and a guy who runs a tight ship, who wants things the way that he wants them, and has very high demands of not only his quarterbacks, but all of his players as a head coach. And I think it's just going to be great development for him. And again, excited to see, how he takes it and how he grows in that, this new black and gold jersey. Again, everybody wants to be in the all black at the end of the day. And that leads me into my next quick hit, which is selling Hamilton to any free agents that are out there trying to come play. And you're trying to decide, should I go to this team? Come right here. You want to play for the black and gold. Every time when you were growing up in high school and you didn't have the all black jerseys, you told your coach, we need all black. Everybody wants to be on the dark side. You want to look like Darth Vader out there. That's why we got the dark visor. We got the all black uniforms, the blackout games. We got the Steel City, these fans that are just so ingrained in Hamilton. They love their smash mouth football over here, and hey, they can't see you bleed when you're wearing all black. So that's a key thing right there for sure. But again, I think the next quick hit that I got is probably my most shocking free agent decision, or I guess news that I've got. Probably in my career that I've seen, I think Bo is probably the biggest one. Seeing that trade, I think it would have been back at the end of 2022, and seeing us trade for his rights, like never in my, I guess CFL career did I think I'd be playing with Bo Levi. I actually was able to meet him over COVID and during, I think, some training sessions and stuff like that, but knew he was obviously a legendary quarterback in Calgary from my days at UBC, and did not think I was going to be playing with him. But I think that was probably my biggest one, was seeing him get traded to here, us get his rights, him obviously sign, and then the success that he's had, the revitalization with some of our media critics have said about his career. But just to be able to work with a guy like that, and obviously the Hall of Fame caliber of the things that are in his mind, the experience, it's, you can't put a price tag on that. And then the other one is Kenny Lawler. I never thought Kenny Lawler would leave Winnipeg, come to Hamilton. It's been awesome to have him here. I love not having to play against him and, worry about whether he's going to head top somebody. Now I just get to be excited that, hey, who's he going to head top today on the opposing team? So that's the biggest one. And then our final quick hit, we got to give a huge shout out to my guy, Keaton Brugling, who extended with Hamilton recently, is on Team Canada representing as an Olympian in bobsled at the Olympics, which are starting this very weekend. Couldn't be any more excited, more proud of a guy like that representing the country. And again, just doing both, being able to be an Olympic caliber bobsled guy and a professional athlete is, I don't know how he does it, but he does. And the guy's got quads that are the size of tree trunks, so that you know why. But again, we're wishing him the best. Go for gold, Keat. We'll be cheering for you down here in Hamilton. I'm sure all across Canada, but for sure here in Hamilton. Go do your thing. Go get that gold medal for the country, my man. But with that being said, that's where we close it. It's been a great pod. I hope y'all enjoyed today. I had a great time. Let me know what y'all want to see in the next episode. We're just getting in to the precipice of Canadian football podcasting. So we're going to have a great year this year. Next week is going to be even better than this week. We're always trying to improve. So let us know your thoughts. Let us know what you want to hear about in next week's episode. And we'll see you then. Peace.